I'm not sure how much the mic will pick up from the chirping birds and the ducks and the geese, and it sounds nice. It's a very relaxing environment, honestly. Why is medium format better? Why do I prefer medium format? And why do I think it actually looks different? So just to get things out of the way, the sensor sizes, camera sensor sizes, at least in the DSLR world, are micro four thirds, smaller one, and the APS-C, which is most of the consumer grade cameras, and the full frame, or the 35mm, and then you have the medium format, like the one in the Fujifilm, the GFX, like the one in the Hasselblad, the X1D, the X2D. And funny enough, both sensors are made by Sony. So Fujifilm has what, like, I think they're selling the X100S, X100S2, the X100 II, and they all have the same sensor, more or less. And of course the X100 OG, but I don't think you can buy that anymore. And they're all made by Sony. Hasselblad has the X1D, X1D2, I think, and the X2D. And yeah, they all have a Sony sensor. Funny enough. But why is it different? How is it different? Like, why is it different? Like, I'll tell you why. Because it is different. Because since the sensor got bigger, the pixels themselves, they got bigger. So a 50 megapixel sensor in a small 35 mm space is a lot crammed up. The pixels are a lot smaller than the pixels and the 50 megapixels in a bigger sensor. It's 2 times as big, or less. Yeah, it's almost like 2 sensors stacked side by side. And this means that the pixels are bigger. This means that it has a lot more space, and this affects noise generally. So you have nicer noise, you have better grain, and it affects low light. But that is not actually why, or only why, medium format is better. But it is because the medium format look. And I know a lot of people think that this is just, it's just, internet talk, that this has a look, or some people call it the 3D pop, or the 3D look. And so a few things that you should know, and I'm going to speak based on my experience with the GFX. I don't have that much experience with the Hasselblad. They're not that much different. They are a little bit, but I'm just going to talk about what I know from the GFX. So, first of all, you get 16-bit color, and that is a lot. It's not a lot in terms of like color. That is a lot different from 14-bit and 12-bit. Like usually, like videos like this become 10-bit. Like this video right here, it's just 10-bit. So just imagine 10-bit, and you have 14-bit, which is a lot more colors, and then you have 16-bit. And 16-bit color is basically almost every shade. I'm not even considering every shade that humans can see. I think humans are limited to, I don't want to get that wrong. I will write it in the description because I really don't remember. But let me just tell you that 16-bit color is a lot more than what we can see. And just the fact that you get the ability to edit that much color in post, it creates a night and day difference, especially with transitions, especially with different shades like blues, greens, reds. The in-between shades you can still see, the camera can identify even the slightest change of shade. So that's one thing, 16-bit. And there is this width to medium format. So let me explain that. When you, okay, in 35mm, 24 is considered wide, or like wide in the perspective of not going ultra wide. 24 equivalent in a medium format space is the 30mm, because the crop factor or the crop ratio is a 0.79. So a 30mm gives you supposedly the exact field of view as a 24mm on like regular full frame sensors. But funny enough, because the sensor is bigger, because there is more light coming in, because there is more space to breathe, the 30mm is wider. And it's not wider in the sense of just wider. You see more depth. There's more. This is one of the topics that I should probably be showing examples, but just take my word for it. It's wider. And it's not just on the 30mm, it's on the 64mm, it's on the 80mm. It's all wider than the full frame. There is a little bit of width. And the second thing or the third thing is that you get a lot less depth of field. So basically what you get with a 1.2 or 1.4 aperture lens on a full frame camera, you get with an f2 on a medium format camera. Yes, the light is the same. So the amount of light coming in an f2 here is almost as much as the amount of light coming in an f2 on a full frame lens, but the depth of field is different. So you get a lot less depth with a lot smaller of an aperture. When I mean smaller, I mean like the iris closing, not the number. So f2 medium format, almost an f1.4 on a full frame, which means that an f4 on a medium format, which is like my usually go-to aperture, is what is equivalent of an f2.8 on a full frame camera. And this means that you see a lot more, and you don't need to open up that much just to get that shallow depth of field or that blur in the background. And when you factor in the amount of benefits that you get from from the medium format, of course you benefit from full frame, but then you benefit a lot more from medium format. It gets you to a point where it just makes sense to use it. Like in the beginning, I thought, that was like a few years back, I thought there's no need, yes, medium format is nice, but it's a lot more expensive. The camera bodies are a lot bigger, ridiculously bigger, to be honest, and ridiculously heavier. And the lenses are bigger. The lenses are more expensive. Everything just grows exponentially. And again, that applies more, honestly, to the GFX system more than the Hasselblad. For some reason, the Hasselblad, they make things smaller, probably because a lot of their lenses have leaf shutter in them, so things are smaller. But for the GFX, with the plane shutter, it's big. Everything is big. Even the prime lenses are big. And this is like it's a question or a debate. Is it worth all the heft and all the extra weight? Or are you just good and solid with a full frame camera? And if I have to choose, like I've already made my choice. I use the GFX probably more than I should. But a lot of the times, the full frame cameras are nicer. A lot of the times, you don't need that extra oomph. You don't need that extra field of view. You don't need that extra color for a lot of the projects. But for some, there is no way around it. For some projects, for some clients, you should have a medium format camera. It is the professional thing to do, it's the right thing to do. You should bear the consequence of investing in such a camera, which is basically paying a lot of money just to have a decent kit of cameras and lenses, like camera and a backup and a few lenses that you're probably gonna need. But you cannot beat around the bush. For certain applications, you need that. You 100% need that. And I've tried substituting the GFX in a lot of times for the full frame cameras and vice versa. I've tried shooting events with two GFXs by my side. I've tried shooting events with two like Sony cameras or Panasonic cameras by my side, like very equivalent setups, 2470, 70-200. On the other hand, it's like a 20-35 in a GFX and like a 45-100. It's almost the same, almost the same. And the full frame cameras like the Sonys are faster. They focus faster. They get the job done. But then when you're done with the thing, when you're done with the event or when you're done with the project, I have like at most 60 megapixel files from the Sony cameras, and I have 100 megapixel files from my GFX cameras. And that spoils you. The amount of zooming in and pixel peeping and cropping that you can do in the GFX in a 100 megapixel file is just amazing. Once you get used to it, which I did, once you get used to the opening capture one and just zooming in endlessly, looking at details for no reason, there is no way you're gonna get satisfied with like a 40 megapixel or 45 megapixel. You will definitely want more. Granted that the files are huge. A picture in 100 megapixel, if it's like uncompressed 16-bit, is around 200 megabytes. And just imagine that 5 pictures is 1 gigabyte. So just imagine how many pictures, like how many hard drives you can fill just by shooting a couple of events with the GFXs. That being said, it still provides me the quality that I like, that I enjoy. And you just have to gonna try, test, and choose for yourself. I think, this is my own speculation, the more people use GFXs, the more we all get into the medium format space, the more the other camera manufacturers will try to also get into the medium format space, and that will make it a lot better and a lot more conveniently priced. It will just lower the price points of everything and make it more accessible, and in return make all of our work look better. Because if the technology is there, why don't we all use better cameras? Why don't we all create bigger pictures? And just maybe hopefully the industry will back that up, and then they'll just figure themselves out and make some kind of like large format and make us pay more money for that, hopefully. So that's what I think of the GFX. And I think anyone who's been interested in them should try, just to see what kind of quality they provide. And that's it. Until we meet again. Stay safe, guys.